You walk away from the conversation. The door closes. The call ends. The chat goes quiet. And that's when the real conversation begins. Not with them, with you. Your brain hits replay like it's reviewing security footage frame by frame. Why did I say that? Did that sound weird? Why did they pause before answering? Was that a normal pause? Did I talk too much? Not enough? Did my face do something strange when they mentioned their ex? Should I have laughed longer, shorter? Was that joke too much? Meanwhile, the other person is probably reheating leftovers and thinking about absolutely nothing. If this feels familiar, you've probably asked yourself something quietly uncomfortable. Why can't I just let conversations go? Why does my brain treat every social interaction like it's evidence in a courtroom? The usual assumption is that people who overthink conversations are insecure, socially awkward, low confidence, too sensitive. But that explanation is surface level. And most of the time, it's wrong, because what's actually happening isn't weakness. It's wiring. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing what it believes is protection. Think of your mind like a high-end editing studio. Most people have basic software, record, play, done. But your brain, it has surround sound, slow motion, color correction, alternate endings. It doesn't just replay what happened. It asks, what did that mean? What did they mean? What did I mean? What did they think I meant? And that editing studio doesn't shut down when the scene ends. Psychologists call this post-event processing. It shows up a lot in research on social anxiety, but it's not limited to anxiety disorders. It's common in people with high empathy, high self-awareness, high conscientiousness, and especially in people with high rejection sensitivity. Rejection sensitivity isn't about being fragile. It's about having a nervous system that's extremely tuned to social cues, micro expressions, tone shifts, slight delays in response. It's like having social Wi-Fi that picks up signals other people don't even notice, which sounds like a superpower. Until you're lying in bed at 1:12 a.m. thinking about something you said at 2:47 p.m. Let's play out a familiar scene. You're at work, you make a comment in a meeting, people nod, the meeting moves on, nothing dramatic happens, but later your brain reopens the file. Was that helpful? Did I interrupt? Why did Sarah look away? Did Mark avoid eye contact after? Was that because of me? Did I sound defensive? Here's the key thing. Most of the time, nothing actually went wrong. No hidden meaning, no silent judgment, no social crime. But your brain isn't built for probably fine. It's built for risk detection. Thousands of years ago, social exclusion wasn't awkward. It was dangerous. Being pushed out of the group could mean death. So your brain evolved to treat social missteps like survival threats. That ancient software still runs in modern offices and group chats. Your brain thinks it's saving your life. In reality, it's just keeping you awake. But there's another layer to this. People who overthink conversations usually care deeply about impact. They want to be kind, accurate, fair. They want to show up well. So when they replay an interaction, it's not just ego. It's responsibility. It's the brain saying, let's make sure we didn't hurt anyone. Let's make sure we were aligned. That tendency is tied to conscientiousness, one of the big 5 personality traits. High conscientiousness is linked to reliability, empathy, and long-term success. The same brain that overanalyzes yesterday's joke is the brain that remembers birthdays and keeps promises. The problem isn't reflection. The problem is not knowing when to stop. There's also something called the spotlight effect. Studies show that we massively overestimate how much other people notice and remember our behavior. You think everyone clocked that weird laugh. They didn't. You think they're replaying your awkward sentence. They aren't. They're replaying their own. It's not that people don't care about you. It's that Everyone is the main character in their own movie, just like you are in yours. But when you overthink conversations, your brain assumes you're also the main character in everyone else's film. Every word becomes a headline. Every pause becomes a clue. Here's something subtle but important. Overthinking often happens more after good conversations than bad ones. You connect, you laugh, you feel seen, and then your brain says, "Don't get comfortable, let's audit that." Because connection creates vulnerability, and vulnerability feels risky. If you grew up in environments where social mistakes were criticized, teased, or magnified, your nervous system learned to scan for errors early. Not because you're broken, because you adapted. Your brain thinks, if we catch the mistake now, we won't be blindsided later. The irony is brutal. The more you analyze for social perfection, the less relaxed you become next time, which makes you more self-conscious, which creates more moments to analyze. It becomes a loop. You speak, you replay, you criticize, you become more vigilant, you speak again, carefully, you replay harder. Let's name it. I call this the social echo chamber. The conversation ends in real life. But in your mind, it echoes, and each replay adds distortion. The pause feels longer, the tone feels sharper. Memory isn't a recording device, it's a reconstruction. Neuroscience shows that every time you recall an event, you slightly rewrite it. If you replay it through doubt, your brain strengthens the doubtful version. That's not drama, that's neuroplasticity. But here's the part no one really tells you. This tendency is also linked to imagination. The same mental ability that lets you anticipate social outcomes fuels creativity, empathy, and strategic thinking. You can simulate perspectives. You can see multiple angles. That's powerful. The issue isn't simulation. It's assuming your worst case simulation is the most accurate one. Another familiar moment. You send a message. They don't reply for 3 hours. Your brain fills the silence. They're annoyed. I said too much. They regret the conversation. They're losing interest. Meanwhile, they're at the dentist. Silence is empty space. Your brain hates empty space, so it writes a story. And because your nervous system prioritizes safety, it writes a cautious one. If you overthink conversations, you're probably highly socially attuned. You notice tone, timing, energy shifts. That awareness is real. The skill is learning when it's data and when it's projection. So how do you interrupt the social echo chamber without becoming careless? You don't suppress the replay. You guide it. When the review starts, ask yourself gently, what concrete evidence do I have that something went wrong? If someone else said exactly what I said, would I judge them this harshly? Is my brain protecting me from something that isn't actually happening? Those questions don't attack you. They recalibrate the narrative. And before we keep going, quick pause. If you're listening to this thinking, oh, wow, that's exactly what my brain does, then this channel is probably for you. This is what we unpack here. The overthinking loops, the social rewinds, the invisible rules your mind follows after conversations. If you want more pop psychology that actually helps you understand yourself, you'll not just label you, go ahead and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and it makes sure this kind of content keeps finding the people who need it. Now, back to it. The goal isn't to stop caring. It's to care efficiently. You don't need to become the person who says whatever and sleeps instantly. You just need a brain that trusts that good enough is safe, because perfection doesn't create connection. Presence does. Think about the people you feel closest to. Are they flawless communicators, or are they real? People who overthink conversations fear being misunderstood, but connection doesn't require perfect phrasing. It requires congruence. When your tone matches your intention, small stumbles don't matter. And most people are far more forgiving than your inner editor suggests. If you replay every conversation, it might not be social anxiety. It might be a deep desire for alignment, for authenticity, for understanding how you land in the world. That's not something to erase, that's something to refine. What if instead of seeing overthinking as a flaw, you saw it as sensitivity that needs boundaries? What if the skill isn't stop thinking, but choose when to think? You can schedule reflection. You can decide, I'll review this once intentionally, and then I'm done. Your brain responds to structure. It likes clear endings. And when the replay starts at midnight, you can literally tell yourself, we already reviewed this. It sounds simple. It works because your brain respects repetition. Here's the deeper reframe. People who overthink conversations often become incredible communicators over time. They analyze patterns, they adjust, they learn nuance, they build emotional intelligence through reflection. The danger is only when reflection turns into rumination. Reflection asks, what can I learn? Rumination asks, what's wrong with me? One builds skill, the other builds shame. You get to choose which question you're asking. And in a world full of half-present conversations and constant distraction, the fact that you care enough to replay interactions says something meaningful about you. You want connection. You want sincerity. You want conversations that actually count. That's not weakness. That's depth. But depth doesn't require self-punishment. So the next time the echo starts, pause. Notice it. That's just your brain trying to keep you socially safe, and gently remind it, I'm allowed to be human. I'm allowed to be imperfect. I'm allowed to exist in someone else's memory without editing myself into oblivion. Because here's the truth. Most people aren't replaying your words. They're replaying their own. And the ones who matter, they're not auditing you. They're experiencing you. So let me ask you, what's the last conversation you replayed? And what story did your brain tell about it? Drop it in the comments. I read them, and they shape what we explore next. And if you want more pop psychology like this, the patterns, the quirks, the mental loops nobody explains, make sure you're subscribed. We're going to keep unpacking how your mind works, one thought echo at a time, because sometimes the loudest critic in the room isn't other people. It's just the echo.